Hey, everybody. Since this is live, I'm going to watch the clock and just give it a minute or two and give people a chance to come in before I get started. But, you know, thanks for tuning in, because this is where all the cool kids are on Friday night, just to let you know. But Lisa, in New Zealand, it is Saturday morning for you, I guess, right? So, but this is where all the cool kids are on Saturday mornings too, if you're in New Zealand and Australia. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I know, this is scheduled and I put it out on Twitter a few times today, but I know that we're streaming to multiple groups right now. We're streaming on 2 YouTube channels and several different Facebook groups. And some people that are just kind of scrolling through YouTube will see, oh, 2 in Nutrition just went live. Oh, so it's good to kind of give people a couple of seconds to come in. Sylvia M is watching from Canada. Is that Sylvie? Who is Sylvia M? Lisa Becker's here. Awesome. North Carolina. Oh, Kyle's here. All the friends are here. Yeah, I'm just going to give it another few seconds and then we'll get started. Oh, that is Sylvie. My beloved friend Sylvie from Canada. Where is Kilmacock, Virginia? I used to live in Northern Virginia, up in like the DC part of Virginia, but I love the farms and the wineries out in like the Charlottesville area. It's so beautiful there. Kathleen from Staten Island. I lived in Staten Island until I went to college. I was born in Brooklyn because I was a C-section and my birth was scheduled, but I grew up in Staten Island until I went to college. So I lived in Great Kills, in case you're wondering. Ohio, Morehead City. You've heard me talk about Beaufort. We've been down to Beaufort a few times. New Mexico. All right. It's, we're over 2 minutes in. I'll get started. Before we get started, tomorrow is a very solemn day in the US, and I don't want to ignore that. Normally when we have a course for sale available, like I'm going to tell you about in a minute or two, we like to have a live video on the last night of sales to kind of like give people a chance to ask their final questions, kind of make their decision as to whether or not the course is right for them. Clearly, that would have been in poor taste to do tomorrow, so we're doing it tonight. And if everyone would please just join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of what happened on September 11th, 20 years ago. Okay, thank you. I'm going to do what one of my friends says, wave it off when she starts to get teary. And I knew I should not have put mascara on for this broadcast, but thank you. And the fact is, not to make light of this, but what we can do to honor the lives lost is live our own lives to the fullest and live joyfully and live in peace. And part of that, not to be crass or anything, part of that is good health. Part of that is being healthy enough to be able to enjoy life and to be able to participate in the activities that we want to participate in. And so to talk about the benefits of a low carb or ketogenic way of eating really is not misaligned with the remembrance of that solemn day and with celebrating life and with positioning ourselves to be able to participate fully in life, whether that means physical health, emotional health, all of the above. So today really is kind of an AMA, ask me anything about keto in general, low carb, health and nutrition in general, whether or not it's about keto or low carb. But before I get to whatever questions, and please, feel free to leave your questions in the comments. Now I've lost my train of thought because I'm so emotional. Right. Before we get into that, I do want to tell you about the course. So we are launching my Stall Slayer Masterclass It is the second cohort. The first round, the feedback could not have been more positive. We were thrilled with what, people's reactions to the course, what they got from it. So you can find the course at the website, adaptyourlifeacademy.com. It's a big name, but adaptyourlifeacademy.com. Click on online courses and click on the Stall Slayer, and all the information will come up. It's only open for a limited time. It's open today and it's open all day tomorrow. It's closing either at 11 p.m. or midnight Pacific time tomorrow. So you have until the end of the day tomorrow to decide whether you think this is right for you or not. And I'm here tonight to, of course, answer the rest of whatever remaining questions you might have. And to be clear, though, the sales are only open for a limited time. Once you purchase the course, it's self-paced. You can watch I give 12 video lessons, and you can watch the videos. You can binge watch them all in one day if you want, or you can space them out over a few days, and you can watch them more than once. You can pop in and out. It's a password protected student portal, so you can watch them multiple times if you want to. And the reason that we only have sales open for a limited window, though, is because once the sales close, we provide dedicated support in a private student-only Facebook group, and that support is starting Monday. Some of you may have already purchased the course, and if you have, thank you. If you've purchased the course, you actually already have access to the Facebook group. You can say hello, you can introduce yourself, but our support team, myself included, won't be there until Monday. Monday is when the 3 weeks, that's when the clock starts ticking on those 3 weeks, when myself and our very, very experienced keto veteran admins will be there to help cheerlead, help celebrate how great you're doing, help troubleshoot when you're running into some issues, and give you tips and actionable advice. And also in that Facebook group, I will be doing a live Q&A session just like this 3 times. It'll be on each Tuesday. So for the next 3 Tuesdays, I will be doing a live video. And here's the thing, though. If you don't use Facebook, because I know many of you have kind of soured on Facebook lately, if you don't use Facebook, you can still absolutely do the course. The course is not on Facebook. The Facebook group is just an extra bonus for those of you who want a little more support, a little more direct interaction with me. If you don't use Facebook, you still have access to all the lessons, even all the live videos. The videos are broadcast live in that private Facebook group, but if you don't use Facebook, everybody in the course will receive a link by email the following day to watch the replay. So you don't miss anything at all if you don't use Facebook. You won't be able to watch the videos live, but you'll be able to just watch the replay anytime. And if you have questions or need help and you don't use Facebook, we do have an administrative email address that you can contact me and contact everybody else at. So whether or not you use Facebook, you can totally do the course. And some of you may have taken our other course, which is like Dr. Westman's, flagship Keto Made Simple course. And we get the question very often as to, how is this different? Like, I already took Keto Made Simple. Do I need to do this one? And, I might be a little bit biased because I created this whole course, but it really does go beyond Keto Made Simple. Keto Made Simple is a very good foundation, but if you took that course, I think my Stall Slayer Masterclass builds upon that. And even if you haven't taken Keto Made Simple, if you know a little bit about keto, you will not be lost at all if you start with my course. So, the Keto Made Simple is really how to do keto, how it works, why it works, how to keep it really, really simple, how you can get all the results you want without making yourself crazy with the macros and the counting and weighing and measuring your food. The Stall Slayer course is specifically about getting past those stubborn fat loss stalls or plateaus and roadblocks. And so I definitely cover the food. There's an entire module, 4 lessons on food, but under the umbrella of food is alcohol. So those of you that like to have an adult beverage from time to time, there's a whole lesson on how to include that and still get the results you want. I have an entire lesson on thyroid. And those of you that have followed me for a while know I'm a very passionate advocate for proper thyroid testing and assessment and treatment. And we've had more than one person tell us that that thyroid lesson alone was worth the price of the course. So there's a whole lesson on thyroid. I explain how sleep and stress affect fat loss. I have a whole lesson on exercise and intermittent fasting. Hint, hint, neither of them is required to lose weight on keto. They may be helpful for certain reasons, but you don't have to do. Anyway, the point is, the Stall Slayer course really goes far beyond just the food. The food is definitely the foundation and the starting point, but what else might be holding up your fat loss? There's a whole lesson on medication. Many of you might be taking medications that are sort of like hindering your fat loss, and you don't even know. You don't even know that this medicine you've been on for 10 years might be making it harder to lose weight. So all of that is covered. And let me see. Let me go through the questions now. I know I have seen some come in, so whoa, lots of comments. Let me scroll way up and see what I've missed. But remember, adaptyourlifeacademy.com, click on online courses and Stall Slayer Masterclass. Michelle is asking about erythritol. How many carbs in that? So, and anything that has erythritol has a label. I mean, it'll have a nutrition facts label, and it's up to you whether or not you count the total carbs or the net carbs. If you count net carbs, you would subtract the erythritol. It will be listed out on that label as sugar alcohols. In using Dr. Westman's guidance, because the guy's been doing keto in a clinic setting for 20 years. So if we want something really reliable, he really advocates counting total carbs. So he would not subtract out the erythritol. He would count the full amount of carbohydrate that you see on whatever label that is. But, you know, everybody's different. Some people can use lots of those products that have erythritol or xylitol or whatever. Some can't. So I don't know what your situation is, but that's how you would count it. Kathleen was born in Brooklyn. There you go. Maimonides Hospital. Okay, lots of people saying hello. Upper Manhattan. Oh, Susan, thank you so much. Susan wishes she could hug me. It's a big, tomorrow's a really big deal. 20 years. I don't even know what to say about it. It's been a long time, right? But I'm sure for those who were directly impacted, it feels like yesterday. So, okay, mostly people saying hello, not that many questions. Nicole says, any hope of weight loss for breastfeeding moms? Keto for 6 years and stuck 4 months postpartum second child, technically obese. There's always hope. So the good news is, there's always hope, whether you are postpartum or postmenopausal or prepubescent or wherever you fall, there's hope. If you are currently breastfeeding, though, I would say, in my opinion, and I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, your number one priority should be nourishing that gorgeous baby, keeping that baby healthy, keeping that baby safe. And mom's weight loss is like on the back burner. You know, make sure that you are eating enough and eating properly to feed that baby. Many women do lose weight naturally with the hormones that come from breastfeeding, but not everyone does. I would say just make sure you are loving and nourishing that baby, and your weight, you know, focus on maybe getting back to stricter keto after. Now, plenty of women do strict keto or even carnivore while they're breastfeeding. There's no contraindication there as far as I'm aware of. So you can do it. You might just have to hunker down and get strict. And some women, though, anecdotally, there's really no research on this that I know of, but anecdotal reports, some women produce a better milk supply with a little bit more carbohydrate in their diet. So I would just focus on making sure that you have enough milk supply, and the weight, you know, the weight will come off eventually. But is there hope? Yeah, I think there is. Oh, thank you so much. Georgia says, I was in the first Stall Slayer course, totally worth it to learn more of what my amazing body go through. Yeah, frankly, thank you for that reminder, because it's called the Stall Slayer Masterclass, and it really is about helping you break those stalls. But even if you're not in a stall, like I said, it's just good information, good education. The whole lesson on thyroid, the lesson on alcohol. There's the entire first module. I think it's three lessons or 4 lessons dedicated to setting realistic expectations. Those of you who want to lose 20 pounds in a month, good luck with that. That happens every once in a while. The heavier you are when you start, the quicker the weight falls off at first. But many of us are not going to lose 20 pounds in a month. So there is really a whole module, not just a lesson, multiple lessons about setting realistic expectations and how to not make yourself emotionally crazy every time you step on the scale. If you choose to step on the scale, you don't have to weigh yourself ever. But if you do, how do you do that without having that number make or break your self-esteem? So I think, even if you are not in a position where you're struggling with fat loss, it's just good information. But I might be a little bit biased. Dash on Girl says, I follow page 4. So page 4, I'm sure most of you know, that's the internet shorthand for Dr. Westman's food list. It's like one sheet of paper, and it's the 4th page of the handout he gives patients in his clinic. So the shorthand name for it has become page 4. It's the same food list that you got if you did our Keto Made Simple Masterclass. You get the same food list if you do the Stall Slayer. And for those of you that happen to read the book that I wrote with Dr. Westman, End Your Carb Confusion, it's the same food list as phase 1. The semantics might be a little different. We've changed the wording a little bit, but if you really study it, the quantities of everything comes out to the same, the math is the same, and all the guidelines are the same. So, okay, Dashing Girl follows page 4. Love your books. I was told by a bariatric nutritionist to eat like Slim Fast meal replacement bars because it's better for me absorbing the vitamins. So I'm going to assume if you're talking to a bariatric nutritionist, you've had bariatric surgery. I do think it may be true that bariatric patients absorb liquid vitamins better, but that doesn't mean you have to drink Slim Fast. And there are keto meal replacement shakes, and Slim Fast has a keto line now that I don't really recommend. There are keto meal replacement shakes that I do think are trustworthy, but you could also just eat regular food, and they make liquid vitamins. Just try to find a liquid multivitamin that doesn't have a ton of sugar in it. That's what I would do. I don't think you need to get it from like Slim Fast. Okay, no. My mascara is not running. These are just the bags under my eyes. Take that as a sign of how hard we've been working to get this course ready for you, that I've got these bags. Okay. Oh my gosh. That's total coincidence, because I said what I said about the bags before I saw Mike's question. Mike said, what example of keto do you give if you have bags under your eyes? I don't know, Mike, but when you figure it out, you can tell me. No, I think... I honestly think for some people, this is a sleep issue. For some people, it may be genetic. There may be just like a collagen thing going on in this particular location where the connective tissue is just looser. I don't know the magical answer to fixing the bags. There's some cosmetic products. If Mike, if you have some women in your life that may know about some little secrets that help these appear less prominent, but as far as keto fixing it, I don't know. But that was a total coincidence that I actually talked about that before I saw your question. How weird. Diana's watching from Puerto Rico. Hello. Food manufacturers. Let's see. Derek says, doing 17 to 20 hours of fasting. After my first meal, which is kind of a big meal, I feel sleepy or fall asleep for an hour or so. Is this normal? I think it is, but I know you've commented on other videos I've done, and I appreciate you watching. You might be doing a little too much fasting, because I know you've mentioned that you're also a lifter. You're a weightlifter. I don't think people that are really active and that are actively trying to build muscle and that are engaged in strength training, I don't think you should do quite that much fasting. If you feel good with doing it, do it, but I wouldn't go maybe more than like 12 or 14 hours for you. You're not hurting yourself in any way by going longer, but probably if you would have more than one meal a day, like if you would have 2 meals a day and make them smaller, you might not get quite that really tired effect. I think what you're basically getting is the Thanksgiving effect. And the Thanksgiving effect has nothing to do with the tryptophan and the turkey. Everyone's like, oh, I'm so sleepy after Thanksgiving because the turkey and the tryptophan. But nobody feels like that after a turkey sandwich where you're having like this much. It's not the turkey. It's in Thanksgiving, it could be all the carbs, but really it's just eating a huge meal. Is it normal to feel sleepy after a huge meal? I think so, even if it's a keto or low carb meal. So that would be my advice. I would eat more than once a day and have smaller meals. I just don't think, fasting, it's not required. And it's not the best approach for some people. It really, every strategy, whether we're talking, even keto, whether we're talking about keto, whether we're talking about fasting, whether we're talking about, I don't even know what else, like everybody should exercise to the extent they can, just being active. But every tool that we have is a tool like any other tool. A hammer is a very, very good tool. But if the particular job you're doing requires a screwdriver, the hammer does you no good. It doesn't mean a hammer is a bad tool. It's just not the right thing for the job. So someone who lifts, fasting 20 hours is probably not in your best interest. Somebody asked if we could put a link for the Stall Slayer course. I know we have a lot of admins watching. I'm sure some of them has probably already put it and I haven't seen it yet. So, oh, somebody's reading the book, The Stall Slayer, and they're enjoying it. Thank you for that. Yeah, the course is based on a book that I wrote called The Stall Slayer. And thanks for the reminder again. If you do the course, not only do you get all the support in the Facebook group, if you use Facebook, you get all the lessons with me, you get the live videos, you also get my entire book. You get The Stall Slayer as a PDF. So those of you that don't mind reading on devices or on a screen, you get it is 197 pages. It's like a real book, and you get the PDF. If you want a print copy, you'll have to get that from Amazon or something, but you get the whole book as part of the course. And I mean, the course is based on the book, but if you've read the book, I will say the course, does dive a little deeper into each of the topics. Pam says, are dark green vegetables the only vegetables for a keto diet? No. If you look at our, it's the phase 1 food list in End Your Carb Confusion, or if you happen to have Dr. Weston's page 4, dark leafy green vegetables tend to be among the lowest in carbs, but you can have tomatoes, you can have radishes, you can have red cabbage, you can even have like red and yellow peppers. They're just a little bit higher in carbs, so you would go easier. You can have eggplant, you can have yellow squash, summer squash, yellow type squash. So no, leafy greens are not if you wanted to have only leafy greens, you can, but if you wanted more of that variety, you certainly can do that. You just can't have anything starchy. So you can't have like no potatoes, no carrots aren't starchy, but they're a little bit sweet. No beets, obviously no grain, no corn, no wheat, no quinoa, and no beans, right? It's too much starch. Okay, let's see. Here's a question. Michelle, A1C 5.7, keto 3.5 years. Weight is not moving. Blood sugar when not on meds is still 200. If I cut out anything else, I will be eating eggs and water only. Where do I go from here? Well, if you're not already doing Dr. Weston's page 4 or the phase 1 food list from End Your Carb Confusion, start there. I mean, 20 total grams of carbs. I don't know what you're eating now, Michelle, but you say like if you cut back anything else, you'll be on eggs and water. So I assume you're already at like 20 or maybe even 10 grams total carbs a day or fewer. If you're not, that's the place to start. Make sure that you are actually in ketosis. Those of you that have followed me for a while know that I'm constantly saying, you don't have to be in ketosis to lose weight. Like our admin Kyle, who's with us tonight, I think he's never even tried to measure ketones, or every time he's measured, he hasn't been in ketosis, but he's lost like 100 pounds or 80 pounds, however much Kyle has lost. So you don't have to be in ketosis, but for your situation, Michelle, when you think you're doing everything right, your carbs sound like they're probably really low, but your A1C is still elevated, your blood sugar, if you're not medicated, it's in the 200s, something is still up. So I would want to see if you are in ketosis, because for some people that is where the magic happens. I would also, like, I don't know anything about your situation, maybe get evaluated for type 1 diabetes, because that, maybe that's an issue. And even if you started off with type 2, that doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to develop type 1. So I would look into that with your doctor, maybe. Laura says, what if the body is gearing up for menopause? Well, I hate to break it to you, because I'm 43 and I am not even perimenopausal as far as I can tell you, but I know that's coming. I know that's coming like a freight train right at me. Menopause does make it more difficult. It makes it more difficult to lose weight, but it's not impossible. And I know it's not impossible because I know plenty of women who lost all their weight after menopause. You just might have to be stricter. Unfortunately, you're not going to have the wiggle room. You can't watch a 25-year-old CrossFitting guy on YouTube and eat what he eats. That is not going to work for you. You're just going to have to be stricter. But can you still lose weight during menopause and after? Yes. Thank goodness. Pamela says, I can't eat cheese, and after a recent bone density test, I'm losing bone in addition to having pain in my left hip. Do I have any suggestions to help her mitigate the problem? Yeah, bone is not just calcium. The number one predominant aspect of bone is protein. And I see women skimping on protein like crazy. So eat more protein is my first step, more protein. And you can get calcium from, if you're eating some vegetables, leafy green vegetables do have a little bit of calcium. If you can't eat cheese, there might be some other dairy foods. If you can do, a little bit of cream in your coffee, like we recommend not going overboard on the cream, but you could supplement too. But the real truth is, for most women, the bone mineral lack is not from too little calcium. Protein and weight-bearing exercise. If you can walk, if you can lift, I know with lifting, we tend to think about muscles, but like, what are those muscles attached to? What are they wrapped around? Oh, right, the bones. What has to get stronger to support stronger muscles? Right, the bone. So I would start with more protein, and don't worry too much about the calcium. And I know you may have heard all kinds of crazy talk about, protein spikes insulin and it kicks you out of ketosis and blah, blah, blah. Please, ladies, stop skimping on protein. I did a video, maybe somebody can link to it, on my YouTube channel a while back. It was called Keto Women Eat More Protein. Okay. Don't you love how the questions are like 2 sentences and my answer takes 10 minutes? When you're at conferences, they just had a conference in San Diego that I was not at, but hopefully more and more of the low carb and keto conferences will start happening in person again now. And, I'll be like on my way to the restroom and someone will say, oh, Amy, can I just ask you a quick question? The questions are always quick. The answer takes 25 minutes, or maybe it's just, my answers take 25 minutes. Okay, Georgia is asking, I use liquid stevia and skinny syrup in my coffee, no cream. Does it really make you crave sweetness, or is it more just in our mind? So this is an entirely individual thing. because I know exactly what you're talking. I use skinny syrups. I use the sugar-free Da Vinci syrups in coffee. I use the sugar-free Tyranny. I use whatever brand. They're all the same to me. I use Sweet and Low in coffee. I use Splenda. I use whatever's handy. For me, it does not prompt cravings for more sweetness at all. Like it just doesn't. I can have a sweetened coffee and just go about my day. Other people can't. So that's only you can answer that question for yourself. I think people probably blow it out of proportion. There's just a lot of people out there who fearmonger about the various artificial sweeteners. And that's one of the points that, oh, well, you know, if you use Splenda or use blah, 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 it's just going to make you want more. Well, what if it doesn't? What if having the sugar-free sweetened coffee is a little jolt of joy in my morning, and it allows me to stick to my low carb keto diet for the rest of the day? Like, isn't that better to do than not? So it's really just an entirely personal thing. You know, if you find that it sets you up to crave more and more sweet all day, probably not the best for you. But don't let other people's, you know, advice on that affect what you know works for you. Because I don't let it. I can have sweet coffee and move on, and so I do. Oh, thank you, Barbara. Barbara says my Stall Slayer book is great and everybody should buy it. I agree, but I'm probably not allowed to say that. Michelle says, oh, that's a good question. Michelle says, do you think it's best to stay away from anything processed because you can't trust the manufacturer to put the real carb content on there and they use lots of different names for sugar? No, I don't think you have to stay away from processed foods at all. I think you have to be educated as to how to spot all those hidden sugars. And if you're following Dr. Westman's page 4 or our phase 1 food list, or just regardless of the plan you follow, if you count total carbs, you don't have to worry anyway, because the total carbs will always be on the label. Whatever they call it, whether they're calling it sugar or brown sugar or sucanat or agave nectar or maltodextrin or invert syrup or whatever they're calling it, it all has to, they're not allowed to not include it. They just might call it by 70 different names. So if you count total carbs, it's a non-issue because you're always going to count that total carb number. And even if you are counting net carbs, if you find that works best for you, you would still subtract. They would still put, if they have erythritol in a product or xylitol or mannitol, they would have sugar alcohols on the grams. And I think the processed food, I did a video on this for my YouTube channel a while back. I think processed food is fine as long as you are mindful of the carbs. I have a friend who said something that was so simple and yet so brilliant. I quote it all the time. Some of you may know who she is. Her name is Siobhan Huggins. She works with Dave Feldman on all the cholesterol stuff they're doing. She said, I don't care how processed something is. I care about the metabolic effects. Drop the mic, hold the phone. What? Because I agree. Look at something like Crystal Light. That's not real food. That's like processed beyond all recognition. Yet people can drink it and still lose 100 pounds. You can drink a Diet Coke. You know, those of you who don't want to drink diet soda, you don't have to, but you can. And I mean, that's an ultra processed food. That's crazy processed, but it works for some people. So I think it's okay. Just be a savvy customer and look at the label. Gloria has been stalled for a year. All the lab work, including A1C, is good. Wait, you said A1C is 5.4, pre-diabetic. 5.4 is not pre-diabetic. That is below the threshold for pre-diabetes, so that's not pre-diabetic. Still not losing fat in the midsection. So the midsection fat does tend to be the most difficult. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to pick and choose where we lose fat from. You know, like if you're losing weight, you can't say, okay, I want to lose it from, you know, my upper arm, but not from my face, or not from my breast, or not from this place. Like, I wish that we could pick and choose and tell the universe where. We can't do that. And the midsection, especially for women, tends to be the most stubborn. And I think some of that's hormonal, some of that is stress and sleep. You know, the various hormones which are affected by stress and sleep affect where we deposit fat and where we hang on to it. So you've been stalled for a year. Your lab work is good. I would say, well, I mean, I only have the one measurement here, but either hunker down and get super, super strict with your diet if you're not already. If you're kind of like low carb most of the time, get really strict for a month and see what happens. Or see if you need a thyroid evaluation. And even if you've been told your thyroid is normal, if you've only ever had 1 or 2 tests for thyroid, because most doctors only order 1 or 2, you have to insist on a comprehensive thyroid panel. It should have like 5 or 6 or 7 different measurements on it, not just 1 or 2. I see this all the time. Far too many people are told their thyroid is normal because they only measure these 1 or 2 things, where if the doctor would go for that full panel, you would see where the problems are. I mean, I had that myself. My A1C was 5.2, and yet I was ballooning up with no change to my diet, and it was thyroid. So if that's, I would look there. But I mean, start with the diet. Like if you know that your diet could use some improvement, start there and go to the thyroid after that. Maxine is watching from Australia again. Happy Saturday morning. Tracy says, if you lose weight too quickly, can that leave you with more loose skin than if you lost at a slower rate? I honestly don't know for certain. I want to say yes, but I don't know if that's true for certain. I know of many people that did lose their weight over a more gradual period of time who don't have the loose skin. And then I know people, I mean, I have relatives, actually, family members that had bariatric surgery that then had to subsequently have the skin removal surgery because they had lost it so rapidly. There is probably also a genetic component to that may have to do with the collagen and like the underlying matrix of the skin and the connective tissue. But if that makes anyone out there feel a little better about losing more slowly, that it's possible you won't be left with the loose skin, then be satisfied with your slower rate of loss. But I can't guarantee. And we're over 30 minutes in. I'm going to just take a break to just remind anyone that may have joined late. My Stall Slayer Masterclass is open for sale right now, and it's available the rest of tonight and all day tomorrow until either 11 p.m. or midnight Pacific time. It's an online course, so you can do it from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be US based. There are video lessons with me delivering all the information. You get the entire book, my book, The Stall Slayer. You get the PDF electronic copy. We have 3 weeks of special support just for the students in this course. I'm there. Some of our admins that are here tonight with us are there, very, very experienced keto dieters themselves. We can help you with, hopefully you don't run into any problems doing keto, but if you do, we're there to help. We're there to support and cheerlead and celebrate. Let's see, there's 3 weeks of Facebook support, but once the group closes, you will still have access to your private portal. The course itself is not on Facebook. So if you hate Facebook, if there's like a wall between you and Facebook, you can still do the course. The course is on the Adapt Your Life website. You will log in with your own password, so it's all secure. And you don't miss anything. You might miss the camaraderie, you miss the fellowship with the other students, but if you need help, if you have questions, you can still contact us by email, even if you don't use Facebook. and I do 3 live Q&As, or once a week on a Tuesday with throughout the course. And the live video is broadcast in the Facebook group. But if you don't use Facebook, everybody receives a link by email the next day to watch the replay. So you don't miss anything. You just won't be able to watch it live. What else can I say about the course? Oh, just letting you know, the reason, oh no, I said after the 3 weeks is over, you still have access to your student portal. You can still log in and watch the actual lessons of the course as many times as you want for the next like 3 to 4 months. And we have many PDF resources. Those are yours permanently. You just download them and save them, and you can keep them forever. You can't download the videos, but you can go in and watch them however many times you want. And even the Facebook group, after the 3 weeks, the group is closed and archived. All that means is that we don't add any new content, but you can still go back and access everything that was posted. So if somebody posted a recipe, or somebody just said something that really helped you that you want to go back and read again, you can access that again. There's just nothing new added after the 3 weeks. So you can get that at adaptyourlifeacademy.com. Click on online courses and click on Stall Slayer. And it is about breaking fat loss stalls, but as I said at the beginning, it really goes far beyond that. I was just answering a thyroid question, or mentioning thyroid. There's a whole lesson on that. There's an entire lesson on how to include alcohol and still lose fat if you like to enjoy an alcoholic beverage from time to time. There's a whole lesson on stress. There's a lesson on sleep. It just really, I definitely cover the food. There's lessons on carbs, there's lessons on fat, there's lessons on macros, but it really goes far beyond that too. So even if you are not stuck in a fat loss stall, I still think that there's a lot of good education in there. Okay, back to the questions. Susan has a good question. Has the food list ever changed in Dr. Westman's 20 years treating patients with what Dr. Westman calls prescription strength keto? As far as I know, it has not. I think that list has been the same. I mean, like I said, we have the same food list in our Keto Made Simple Masterclass, and you get a copy of that food list in the Stall Slayer course. And it's the same food list as phase 1 in our book, End Your Carb Confusion. It's just worded differently. So like it looks different, it sounds different, but if you do the math, all of the quantities for all the foods are the same. I will let you in on a little secret about page 4. As far as I know, it hasn't changed, but there was a lot of debate about certain foods that are and are not included. For example, Dr. Westman once told me that carrots were like this close to making it because they are sweeter than something like spinach or something like cucumbers. And even though they're a root vegetable, I mean, things that grow underground tend to be higher in carbs, they're kind of the lowest of that. They have lower carbs than beets, lower carbs than parsnips. I think they're even lower carb than onions, and onions are allowed, but you wouldn't eat like 3 cups of onions. So there were some foods, and even page 4 as written, I think the limit is like 6 olives and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Like there's some things that have quantities here. Like, well, where did they get this from? Dr. Westman got that list. Basically, it's derived from the late, great Dr. Robert Atkins and the nurse Jackie Eberstein, who worked with him for so many years in their clinic. And Jackie said that they would customize that every now and then for individual patients. So it would actually say olives and it was blank, and she would write in 5 olives, 10 olives, whatever. So they were customizing things a little more. But if it hasn't changed in 20 years, I would say it's because it doesn't need to change. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. You know, it's that effective, that why it works so well when so many other things don't, that I think he just hasn't seen reason to change it. That's a good question though. And now you got all this insider info. That's what you get for being here on a Friday night where all the cool kids are. More people from Australia. That's awesome. Canada. Everybody in the house. So just since you are joining me on a Friday night or Saturday morning, if you're on the other side, I'll give you another little juicy tidbit. Some of you may know that I was in the Air Force and I did go to survival school. Not everyone in the military or even in the Air Force goes to survival school, but if you do your particular job in an aircraft, you need to go to survival school because God forbid you ever get shot down and you need to know how to survive. And we were told if you were ever in a hostile situation, ever in like a POW situation, hostage situation, and you have the capacity to talk to a representative of another nation where like maybe you don't have access to Americans, they're not going to like give you an American to help you, but you might be able to communicate with a diplomat from somewhere else. They trained us, stick to your ABCs, your Aussies, your Brits, and your Canadians. But that, I mean, really, it was just because the language barrier, like try to get somebody who like the native language is English. So the ABC, the Aussies, the Brits, and the Canadians. All right, back to keto, shall we? Joy80 says, I think it's 80. I don't know if my glasses on. It could be Joy BO. Do you know the science behind exercising in a fasted state or a couple of hours after a meal? Which is better for losing fat? So the ugly truth is that exercise really isn't that good for losing fat, no matter when you do it and no matter whether you're fasted or fed or what. It's not that great for fat loss. Fat loss really is primarily diet. I honestly, so the exercise for all the other reasons it's good for us, right? It's good for cardiorespiratory function. It's good for strength and mobility. It's good for like, if you want to remain independent well into old age, we want to be fit, we want to be in shape. With that in mind, I think it's far more important that you exercise at all, regardless of what time of day it happens or whether you just ate or didn't eat. For those watching that might have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes or metabolic syndrome, in those cases, it is better to do a little bit of activity after a meal because it's going to give that glucose somewhere to go. And you might even know this if you have a CGM or you have even just a regular glucometer, you can see like, and you don't have to like, right after a meal is not the time you want to go sprinting or doing something intense. But if you go for like a 15-minute walk, just kind of get up and move, give that glucose somewhere to go. But of course, if you're following page 4 or just whatever version of a very strict ketogenic diet, you don't really have to worry about that anyway, because you're using your diet alone to control those blood sugar spikes. You know, Dr. Westman has done a couple of videos on the Adapt Your Life YouTube channel where he talks about patients of his that are in wheelchairs. They can't exercise. Now, could they play like wheelchair sports? Yeah. But, you know, people that were injured in traumatic injury situations or they're, you know, quadriplegic, and they can still lose 50 pounds. They can still reverse their diabetes without any exercise at all. That's how powerful this 20-year-old food list is. So I personally like to exercise on an empty stomach. I don't like the word fasted. I don't like to exercise with a full belly just because it makes me uncomfortable and I can't breathe so well. But I don't think it matters very much at all for fat loss. Nicole says, if counting total carbs, what's a good limit? It depends on your situation. Dr. Westman's famous food list is 20 total carbs, which is very strict. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. It's effective as all get out, but it's not, well, I shouldn't say that. Some people find it very easy. Easy is a matter of perspective. Some people, 20 total grams, they love it. It's great. Other people, it's really hard. So, but like we talk about in End Your Carb Confusion, we talk about finding your own personal carb threshold, your own tolerance level. And Adapt even has a quiz. If Lisa, you could maybe post a link to the quiz if you want, where like you can kind of identify where you fall on that list. The further you are from where you want to be, meaning the more weight you're looking to lose or the more severe your health problems, the stricter you should be, because that's going to get you the fastest and most powerful effect to get out of that situation. But so not everybody needs super strict keto. Some people can just do kind of a casual low carb diet and do great. If you want the biggest bang for your buck, I do recommend like 20 or 30 total carbs. And Dr. Westman is like 20, period. Colorado. A1C has dropped. Oh, Francine says, repeat the thyroid test. Yeah, you want to ask for a comprehensive thyroid panel. I have a blog post. If you search 2 at Nutrition Thyroid, it's part 1. There's other parts, but the where I go into the testing is part 1. Just Google 2 at Nutrition Thyroid, and it'll say something like, let's talk about thyroid. Just ask for the comprehensive panel, but do not trust that it's being ordered for you. If you ask your doctor, hey, can you order me a comprehensive thyroid? Oh, sure, no problem. I'll order the comprehensive. No. When you get to the lab or you need to check with your doctor, please tell me what individual tests are included in this panel, because I've seen this more times than I can count. The doctor will say, oh yeah, no, I'll get the panel. And then they get the results back and there's those same 2 stupid tests that are worthless. So comprehensive, and the comprehensive thyroid panel, and it just includes a few things that I won't bore you with, but if you look on that blog post, it gives you each individual test that should be included in there. Melanie says, I understand 0-calorie creamers are not on the list. Why is it better to have heavy whipping cream in coffee as opposed to 0-calorie or 0 sugar? Oh, Wendy Moore is here. Hey, Wendy, thank you so much for watching. And hey, Arthur, if you're watching too, my friends from Ottawa. So this is one of those gray areas where it's not that heavy whipping cream is better. If you can include something that's not on the list and still get the results you want, then you can include it. The reason, like, I think part of the reason Dr. Westman keeps the list so basic is that, so like, we just don't get these, just don't even ask. If it's not on the list, don't eat it. See you tomorrow, go enjoy life. But he does recognize that there are plenty of things that are not on the list that work for people, like those skinny syrups, the sugar-free coffee syrups. They're not on the list, but many of us use them and we're doing great. So if this is something that works for you, I would use it, because in fact, the heavy cream gets a lot of people into trouble when they're just like, okay, here's my coffee and here's my cream, here, keep on putting it in. So if they work for you, they're fine. But just make sure, just watch the carbs, watch the total carbs, because listen, I've seen these sugar-free coffee mate creamers at the store because they have like every flavor under the sun and they look so delicious, like, ooh, sugar-free. And you read the label and it's got 4 grams of carbs per tablespoon. And some of us are probably doing 2 or 3 tablespoons, because when you look at the ingredients, corn syrup or like corn syrup solids is the 3rd ingredient. And you're like, how on earth is this sugar-free? I don't know what kind of magic they're doing there. Somebody else asked about food labels earlier. There are some issues with food labels. So I just don't trust those particular labels. But if you know of one that really is 0 sugar, 0 calorie, I think it's fine. Okay, I'm almost done. I don't want to go past an hour. Let's see. Sometimes if I move my mouse just wrong, the whole thing disappears. Tracy says, doesn't alcohol take priority in the liver and distract the liver from burning fat? Yes. So there's a hierarchy that your body uses to metabolize or break down certain things. Alcohol is going to be the first thing it burns because we don't have anywhere to store alcohol, right? We all know we got lots of places we can store fat. We can store fat all over. We can store carbs even. We can store carbs in our muscles as glycogen, in the liver as glycogen, and you can store a little bit of glucose in the blood. If you have diabetes, you can store a lot of glucose in the blood. Not that you want to be, I mean, that's a that's a problem. You don't want to do it, but your body will do it if it has no other choice. We don't have any storage depot for alcohol. So that means if you're taking alcohol in, it has to be burned first. It doesn't mean that fat is completely not burned at all. Like the human body is never binary. It's never all the way on or all the way off. Everything is always happening at the same time, but certain things are going to happen more and others are going to happen less. So yes, when you are drinking alcohol, the burning of everything else is put on hold, which is why you can include alcohol on keto and lose weight. You have to be strategic about it. You can't just add 3 glasses of wine a night to what you're eating and expect to lose weight. But, you know, you can, like, the same question about menopause. Can you lose weight after menopause? Or yeah. Can you lose weight drinking alcohol? Yes. And I know because lots of people I know have, and even like include it and maintain a loss, you know, not gain the weight back, but you have to be strategic about it. But you are correct that if the more alcohol you're drinking, the less of anything else you're going to be metabolizing. Oh, Maxine, thank you so much for that comment. She says, I'm not stalled. I'm just amazed at all your awesome tutorials, and I can see the results in my body, as can my colleagues, my work colleagues. That's awesome. You know, when sometimes our own eyes are the last to sort of catch up to where we are. And it's when other people start noticing that you're like, oh, this must be for real. Even when you're like maybe on a new notch on your belt or like things are loose, it's hard for us to accept that it's actually working and that we're actually, when the other people start commenting, then you know it's like, they're not making it up because they're not saying that just for fun. Hi from Texas. Thank you for your teaching. You're welcome, Wheaties. Wheaties, you're going to have to change your name to, like, you know, bacon or something. Or you could keep Wheaties as a joke. For those of you outside the US, Wheaties is, you might have Wheaties, and your Wheaties is a breakfast cereal in the US. That's, you know, like 100% carbs. Ooh, Michelle, what a great question. How much protein is too much, or is that not a thing? It is a thing, but in 8 years as a professional nutritionist, not once, not one time have I ever told somebody they were eating too much protein. If anything, I've told many people that I want them to eat more protein. I would not worry, because you have to work really hard to get anywhere close to too much protein. I wouldn't worry about it. Vakar says, where can I find the food list on the student portal? There should be a section that says like PDF resources or downloadable resources. It's not, if you're in the course itself, you'll see the videos and the modules. But if you are, if you're just in the student portal, you should see the resources. Yeah, Lisa says, please email us. Yeah, if we can help you, we'll, Tim says, does Diet Mountain Dew affect fat loss? You guys are getting so many juicy tidbits for being here. You have no idea. Diet Mountain Dew makes me nervous. So the juicy tidbit is coming, so stick a pin in that. Diet Mountain Dew is another one of those food labels that makes me a little bit nervous, because orange juice concentrate is an ingredient in Mountain Dew. And I haven't looked at Diet Mountain Dew in a while, so I don't remember if it's in Diet Mountain Dew as well, but I think it is. That's what gives it that sort of citrusy, kind of orangey flavor. Orange juice extract. So like, or no, concentrated orange juice. How is that going to be 0 carbohydrate? I don't know. Maybe it is. I mean, you could test. If you have a glucometer, you could test. You could drink one or drink half of one and see what happens. I happen to know that somebody by the name of Dr. Eric Westman enjoys a Diet Mountain Dew from time to time. But he's not trying to reverse diabetes. He doesn't have obesity. He's just maintaining, and he's a pretty thin guy. So, but I just, is Diet Mountain Dew on page 4? No. Have I seen the world's expert drink one? Yes. Oh my goodness. I bet you guys weren't prepared for that. You know what though? When Dr. Westman and I first met, and we didn't really know each other. I mean, I knew who he was. I mean, who in the low, and I'm talking like years and years ago, who in the low carb world doesn't know who Eric Westman is? I'm like, but he had it like it was on the desk or something, and I was like, oh, he's normal. Oh, he's a normal human. Like he drinks diet soda. I think we can be friends. Like I think we can have a working relationship. Because Keto Without the Crazy. That's what I do. It's very hard for me to relate to the people that are ultra crazy strict. And I understand that some people need to be ultra crazy strict. And if you do that. But I also think that some people have a little more wiggle room than they're aware. And even just the fact that he was drinking a diet soda of any kind, because some people are really very militant about none of the artificial sweeteners. And I'm certainly not that way. So I was like, oh, okay, I think Dr. Westman and I will be able to work together if he is okay with diet sodas. Okay, I'm going to end soon because now we are past the hour. Francine says, my insulin level goes up 19 points equals 2 T. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hair loss after keto. I think I missed that question because you say I have the same question as Karen. I think I missed Karen's question. So hair, I have a video. If somebody could maybe look at my YouTube channel there, I did a video a while back on hair loss on keto. It is normal, especially if you are losing weight and you're losing weight fairly rapidly. It is actually totally normal to lose hair. And keto isn't the only thing that will do it. Any rapid weight loss will do it. A lot of trauma will do it. Some women after giving birth notice that hair is falling out like crazy. Thyroid problems can cause hair loss. But if it's coming from keto, if it's coming from rapid weight loss, or even just sort of the hormonal shock, the good news is your hair will grow back, and it typically grows back healthier and stronger. So don't like freak out about it if it's happening. That is a normal known thing. There's nothing like wrong with you. Oh, there was the excess hair loss again for Haley. Yeah, you want to look into what might be happening. If you're relatively new to keto, or if you're in the active weight loss process, that could be why. But if that's not the case for you, you do want to look into some other, you could look into thyroid issues and get that comprehensive panel. There's a couple of nutrient deficiencies that affect hair, but I think that's rare compared to the thyroid. People say that biotin is good for hair. I've looked at the research and it's underwhelming. I'm not impressed by the biotin research. You could also stress. Just emotional, like acute stress can cause hair loss. So if you're going through a stress, like a divorce or like a new job, just something that's been very stressful for you, that can also mess with hair. Okay, almost done soon. I think I've gotten to most of the questions. Diet sodas, heavy cream. Oh, Marlene, you came to the right place. I don't want to open this rabbit hole. I wish that everybody watching who's had success on keto would tell Marlene that she's in the right place. Marlene says, I would love to do keto, but 2 doctors told me they don't recommend it because I'm a diabetic. Marlene, Dr. Westman uses keto diets literally to reverse diabetes. Now, I'm assuming type 2. If you have type 1, you can also still do keto, but you can't reverse that. You will always need to use a little bit of insulin if you have type 1. If you have type 2 diabetes, you don't have to manage it. You don't have to control it. You can be rid of it completely. Dr. Westman has published papers on this. I mean, keto, like it's all well and good to lose weight. You can literally, you can just not have type 2 diabetes anymore. It might take you a while. You should absolutely do, now I'm not a doctor, but as a professional nutrition professional, I think that you can absolutely do keto. You want to make sure that you are being monitored. If you take insulin, work with a doctor because you need to learn how to adjust your doses. Because if you need this much insulin because you're eating this much carbohydrate, and all of a sudden you start eating this much carbohydrate, You cannot take that same dose of insulin or you're going to get in trouble. You have to learn how to start adjusting that dose based on your blood sugar. But I think diabetes is the best reason to do keto. It's a better reason to do it than weight loss. So go forth and prosper, Marlene. And we're here. We're here to help you. Adapt Your Life is here. I'm here. Dr. Westman is here. Like our book and Your Carb Confusion, the book will walk you through how to do this all. Okay, more hair loss that I've already. Ooh, somebody's asking about liver. Ooh, liver. Is there anything nutritionally lost by taking in liver via a pate or mousse with minimal added ingredients versus eating raw liver? I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. I think we would know that by now if that was the case. I think if you like pate and you like liver mousse or something, I would just eat that. I wouldn't worry about doing it raw. When does belly fat start to go? Not soon enough. Like I said, we can't pick and choose where we lose weight from. For some people, it comes right away. Like some people will lose weight in the belly, but maybe not in the arms or the leg. And so everybody looks disproportionate. For most people, the belly is the last thing to go. And so when does it go? Sometimes last. And it's just really, really hard. I don't know why. Okay, lots of questions about hair loss. I think I already talked about it. Here's some interesting questions. Is hypoglycemia curable at some point? If you stop eating foods that jack up your blood sugar and jack up your insulin, you're not going to end up with the crash that hypoglycemia is. So if you stick to either a keto diet or some people, like I said, they don't need strict keto. If you're just doing some variation of low carb, as long as you stay away from the foods that are having the biggest impact on your blood sugar, you won't have that subsequent crash. So I guess you could call it curable. If you start eating those foods again, you're not going to be cured. So you basically ward it off by just not eating the foods that trigger it to happen in the first place. Here's a question that I don't know the answer to, but I'll speculate. Will low carb work to improve aggressive keloids? Keloids are like skin things, right? Like a raised. I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that keto is very helpful for a variety of skin issues. Acne, eczema, psoriasis, lichen planus, what's the one? I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Hidradenitis suppurativa. Very scary words. It's just all kinds of skin stuff that keto happens to be really good for. So it's possible that keto can help keloids, but I honestly don't know for certain. I haven't seen any research on it, but I've never looked for that specifically. Okay, just a couple more questions, then I will end. Vakar says, I can't stop myself from taking 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in lunch and dinner. Is that okay? Only you can answer that question. If you're satisfied with the results you're getting, then it's okay. It's 4 tablespoons of olive oil does fall within our food list, but that has to be included with all the other fat you might be eating for that day. But only you can know if it's a problem. If you're not happy with how your results are, I think you had a question about kidneys in a recent thing. As long as you're happy with your progress and where things are going, then I would keep doing what you're doing. Oh, you're asking about my YouTube channel name is just Tuit Nutrition, TUIT Nutrition. Some of you are probably watching from there, but that's my channel. Yeah, Christine is living proof. She's reversed type 2 diabetes, off all meds, A1C from 6.9 to 5.4. Yeah. If it doesn't stop in carnivore for 18 months, I assume you're talking about hair loss. I get your thyroid evaluated, get the comprehensive panel because you want to make sure there's nothing wrong there. If the hair loss is really aggressive, and make sure you're eating enough. if you're not eating enough, that's very stressful to the body. Like I am very supportive of whatever works, but there are some people for whom low carb and keto are, carnivore and keto are not, or and super strict keto are not necessarily the best, because you simply won't eat enough. You find, and not you personally, but like these people find the appetite regulation so powerful that they're just barely hungry. They're just like barely, they're not deliberately starving themselves, but they're just not eating enough. And the body is under a lot of stress in that situation and will shed hair. So just make sure that you're eating enough. Okay, almost done. Laura's best friend has reversed type 2 diabetes on keto. I mean, that's literally what Dr. Westman has built his career on, reversing type 2 diabetes. And not just him. I mean, so many of you probably follow all these other doctors, Jason Fung, Andy Fung. There's 2 different Fungs now. One is F, one is PH. Who else is out there? Ken Berry, you know, Ted Naiman, Tro Kalayjian, Brian Lenskis. Like, people are reversing people's diabetes left and right. So yeah, Candace, off all meds, reverse type 2 diabetes. Michelle has avoided using insulin. A1C was almost 10. I mean, this is amazing. Marlene says, I need help. Where do I begin? You begin with our book, End Your Carb Confusion. I'm going to reach over because I happen to have a nifty copy. Just get this on Amazon and get it from your local bookseller, End Your Carb Confusion. If you're on medication, though, you know, just look for a keto-friendly doctor. There's a couple of websites where you can search for doctors that know about this way of eating and that can help you adjust your meds if that's necessary. Or email us, academy@adaptyourlife.com. You can tell us now where you live. I might know of somebody offhand in your area. I mean, as ugly and contentious as things sometimes get online, one thing I can say about the kindest souls, the real true good people in the low carb and keto world, we really do work together. We help each other out. We constantly cross refer. And I feel blessed and fortunate to be part of that network and to have people all over the country and even internationally in some cases that I can refer people to. Now, there's a lot of keto doctor deserts where there's nobody within, you know, 100-mile radius, but usually we can recommend somebody. So it just depends on where you live. Skin tags. Yeah, Island Man. I totally forgot. That's another skin thing that gets better with keto. The skin tags disappear. Vakari, yes, our book is End Your Carb Confusion is available on Kindle, and it's also the audio version just came out. So those of you that just want to listen to it, there's an audio version now too. Jonathan signed up for the course. Thank you so much. Yeah, Jessica, we love Dr. Sybes, love him. Thoughts on MCT oil? It's okay. It doesn't have any magical properties. It's not going to make you lose weight faster. It's not going to reverse diabetes faster. It's just another source of fat. Yeah, Marlene, because the biggest concern is insulin injections, which it doesn't sound like you take, but you're on blood pressure meds. It really is best to work with a doctor because you just don't want to mess yourself up. But you'll be able to find one. Oh, did you? I think you might have told us. Oh, you're in Cincinnati. Let me give some thought. I don't know anyone offhand in Cincinnati, but we can find somebody. And Tro Kalayjian does remote consultations. Somebody said they think Dr. Sybes does virtual consultations. Yeah, somebody else has the MCT oil question. So I'll just one more word about MCT oil. MCT oil will raise your ketone level regardless of what you eat. You could be on a high carb diet, and if you take MCT oil, you will have like a little bit of ketones, because just the way your body processes MCT oil, it converts it into ketones more than it does that with other fats. But having a higher ketone level basically means nothing in the context of weight loss or reversing diabetes, reversing metabolic syndrome, hypertension, all the skin stuff like PCOS. Having higher ketones doesn't really accomplish anything there. There are people with epilepsy or migraines or other issues where the ketone level itself might matter. If you like MCT oil and you feel that it does something special for you, you can use it, but it's not required. It's not making this diet work any better or faster for most people. Okay, I'm going to cut the questions off for that. AdaptYourLifeAcademy.com, click on online courses, click on the Stall Slayer. If you still have any more questions, just send us an email, academy@adaptyourlife.com. Sales are open until tomorrow at either 11 or midnight Pacific. So you still have the rest of tonight and all day tomorrow to make your decision. But I hope you make your decision very soon, and I hope it's a good one. What else can I say about it? I don't know. Feedback from the first cohort was very good. And one more last secret before I go. If you do take the course and you use the Facebook and you find that the support is helpful and the encouragement and the cheerleading and the troubleshooting and the access that you have to me and our other admins that are here, and Dr. Westman pops in regularly, if you find that that is helpful, once you take a course with us, whether it's the Stall Slayer or our Keto Made Simple Masterclass, you will have access to be able to join our ongoing membership. So if you find that that sort of community is helpful, you have the option to continue on with us, but that's only available if you take the course. So just think, all these questions that you've had, you could have access to ask me this kind of stuff like every day on Facebook if you have a desire for that. So thank you so much for being here on a Friday night. I love it that you were here on Friday night or Saturday morning for you Aussies and Kiwis. And again, bless the lives that were lost. Tomorrow is going to be a very solemn day for so many people. And that's all I can really say. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you. I very much hope to see you in the course, and that's it for now. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.